hit me up with in the comments with who's there, who's dialing in, where you are. Maybe something cool that happened today, if something has happened already, or yesterday. And I'm going to get right into it because we're a bit short on time today. I've got some family visiting and want to have dinner with them. So this week's Make of On Day looks at the top 10 countries by no, not the top 10 countries for military spending. We've done that already. Let me go to the next one. Oh, yes. UK politics. Here we go. Trust push ahead with low tax economy despite calls for caution. So I guess this is the chart. I don't think. Oh, Andy, which one is the chart? The first one or the second one?
The one with the bar chart with the red, and not that one, the next one.
Okay. So quick confirmation here. So the UK has the second highest income inequality among G7 countries. Yes, it certainly looks like it. So we have a bar chart there. The data set you can find on the Make of Monday page. And for each week, there's a link to the data, to the Watch Me Viz video, the Viz review, which is now, and then the original article and the data source. So you can include that. So let's see what people did. And the first Viz, so I've brought this up already in the interest of time. Hi, Michael. Hi, Dick. And I'm sure there's some others tuned in as well. We've got one from Colin. Colin has done an animated scatter plot. Let's have a quick look at that. And the animation, well, it'll only be manual if I do it now, but you can see it in the GIF, which is cool. So, oh no, we're not looking at that because it's internet speeds. Sorry, guys, false alarm. So I tend to not look at tweets like that because I don't know what it's about. Development of the Gini index, I don't know what that means. Make sure your tweets are nice and descriptive, ideally, so that I can tell quickly whether this is from this week. So let's have at Takafumi's Viz. Income inequalities. Okay, back to what I always say. The title, yeah, it's accurate, but it's not really very punchy. Income inequalities is a bit like just giving me the measures from the data as a title. What did you find? Tell me a story in the title. Tell me why I should look at this. Because income inequalities makes me think like, oh, I need to do a lot of work to actually figure out the insights myself. I want to be presented with the insights. Gini coefficient, what's the Gini coefficient? I don't know. I would like to be told, because one thing I don't want as the consumer of visualization is to kind of be left knowing less than I did before. I didn't know there was a Gini coefficient. So if I now know there is one, but I don't know what it's about, I kind of feel a bit dumb. And I want you to inform me. So make sure that any technical terms you use, you explain at some point, ideally earlier rather than later. So yeah, I don't know how to read this. It says G7, they're red, and there's other countries, but I don't know how to understand this. So I'm going to move on to the next one. So Birchin says, this one is a bit tricky because less is more. Let's have a look. Is there a link? There is a link. No, let's please not do a weekly hashtag. I see the suggestion. It's a good idea, but we have previously done a Viz review hashtag, and it's much more work. And then it sets an expectation that people who use the hashtag will definitely get reviewed. And I don't want to overcomplicate things. So it's very quick for me to skim over. I think the most effective way to do it is if your tweet is very clear on what the topic of the Viz is, then I will be able to tell what week it relates to. Okay, when it comes to income inequality, G7 countries aren't doing much better. Better than what is my first question. So if you use a comparative word like that, there has to be a better than what. It could be they're not doing much better than maybe we expect them to, given that they are G7 countries. But then G7 is this group of countries, but then look at the other countries that are not G7. Norway, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Austria, Iceland. They're pretty wealthy countries too. They're not in the G7. So maybe we associate G7 with like a certain amount of wealth. But yeah, so income inequality is measured with the Gini coefficient. I like that explanation. I still wonder why it's called a Gini coefficient. Like, where did that name come from? Is it somebody's name? Is it an abbreviation? A Gini coefficient of 0 expresses perfect equality. Okay, very helpful. While a Gini coefficient of 1 expresses maximal inequality. That is super helpful because it means countries are going to be somewhere between 0 and 1. The closer they are to 1, the worse the inequality is. And inequality, my assumption being there's a lot of rich people, no, a few rich people, a lot of poor people, and there's a huge gap between them, rather than everyone being somewhere kind of more around the middle. Let's have a look at Germany. Okay, so Germany isn't doing too terribly, which is, good to know. But so what is the bar? So I see the red dot, and the red dot is the Gini coefficient. I understand that bit. What is the bar? Is that like between 2 years? Yeah, I don't understand how to read the viz, quite frankly. I like that it's sorted, but I don't know by what. So it's by Gini coefficient. So Slovakia has the lowest, but then the fluctuation, why is that so big? I don't know. Yeah, I need to understand the bar. Overall range over time. It could be, but then there's no axis. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't understand this really. I want to understand it though. I really like the annotations. Oh, the bar shows the historical range. Okay, I think the explanation of the bar needs to come earlier because there is quite a lot of annotations in the viz. It kind of makes me skim over them. So, but knowing what the bar means is quite important. So bar and recent situation, I would put that under the subtitle. The bar shows the historical range of income inequality. But does that mean that a wide bar is a lot of fluctuation and a small one is very little fluctuation? I don't know enough. Okay, let's move on to another one. Internet speed, income inequality. It's quite similar, so I'm going to skip over that one and see what else we have. Surut, tablet public link. So as you notice, maybe, so I'm having a hard time reading and finding the link because there's so many tags. And just as a social media tip, too many tags actually are like a bit of a turnoff for the algorithm. Plus, it just makes it read, so people might not really react or share your work because they just don't even know what's what. So less is more. Just having a quick look. Okay. Zainab says she struggled with doing anything other than a bar chart with this data set. Bar charts are fine. So, okay, let's have a look what Surut created. Ranking countries based on percentage inequality and income. Again, it reads a bit like putting in the metrics from the chart rather than creating an actual title. Because what is percentage inequality and income? What's the percentage? With percentage deviation? Yeah, my point in case. Continues. So, okay, I struggle with this one because they're very repetitive visually. I see green, I see red. Challenge is if I have a red-green weakness or red-green blindness, I won't be able to see what's red and green. The indicators are helpful because they show me it's up or down. So if I, and then there's a plus as well. So that's maybe a bit of overkill because you're triple encoding. You're using color, an indicator, and the plus minus for this to mean the same thing. Now, what I struggle with here is the 3-letter acronyms for the countries because it makes it quite hard with some country names depending on your language. Like for me, it's Spain in English, it's Spanien in German, but it's España. So it's ESP. It takes me a few extra seconds to figure out some of these countries. And I would just spell them out in their name in one consistent language. And yeah, how do I read this ranking? Do I go column by column? Do I go left to right, left to right, left to right? That's something I don't know. And then what's this reference? Okay, it didn't change. Oh, the percentages change. The little colorful one, but I don't know. So it says how to read. So it has the rank. So they're not sorted. What are they sorted by? So the rank is in no logical order. Okay, this I don't understand. Because no matter how I sort them, Russia is first and it has 18 as the rank. So I don't see the logic in that. So if you have the countries, yeah, I don't understand that. And then the code, okay, that's the country code. And then the rank G7. So that's the rank within the G7, I think. So I need to find a country. But so, okay, so Canada's in the G7, that has another rank. Germany is. And then the metric, what is the metric? It doesn't say what this actually is. So inequality in income, what does that mean? So in Russia, 31.7%, what is that? Like 31.7% of people are poor. There 31.7% of people earn less than the average or more than the, like what does that number mean? And the bottom percentage, that's the only one I can understand because it says it in the brackets, 0.55% less than it should be Oceania countries average. Yeah, this is really difficult to understand. And I think I like to think I'm a good benchmark because I get these things in general. I know how to read them in general. You know, I've worked with data a lot. If I don't understand it, then it's too difficult. Okay, let's see what Narciso has created. Well, that is just a retweet of Andy, so there's nothing there. I don't know what this is. Alice. Okay, let's have a look. Her second ever Makeup Monday. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to look at these suggestions. Okay. Oh, good point from Dick Brown that green, so for the previous videos, green usually means good, red means bad, higher numbers here are worse. That's very true. So, yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Alice's viz. I'll give it another 7 minutes. I'm afraid today is going to be short. The UK has the second highest income inequality amongst the G7 countries. So I really like that she's picked up from the original article. And you don't have to. You can come up with your own story. But sometimes it's nice to stick to the original and actually find a way to better visualize it. Okay. I still want to understand. Well, okay, let me have a look. Gini coefficient. The error between the Lorentz curve. Okay, of the income distribution in the diagonal line of complete equality. Why is it called Gini? God damn it.
It stands for something.
It stands for something. Yeah, I thought so, but no one says what it stands for. Somebody, surely there is a reason why it's called Gini. Does Wikipedia tell us? Gini coefficient. There we go. Sociologist Corrado Gini. Thank you, Wikipedia. Okay, so, and I think this is a topic where clearly there's a bit of misunderstanding, and and she's included some text. So talking about income inequality being on the rise in the world, progressive tax systems can be used to limit growing inequality by redistributing wealth, which is something they clearly fail to do here in the UK. And then what contributes to rising inequality. So I think that's really nice because it educates me beyond showing me the data. And I think this is a very important topic to be more educated on. So let's have a look. Click on the dot to highlight the G7 countries for comparison. Click on the dot. Okay, so we can see, so 0.6 represents the richest 20% having 80% of the income. Okay, so, and then the average, so we've established previously, the closer you are to 0, or 0.2, the better you are in terms of equality. So we can see in here quite clearly which countries are doing, which ones of the G7, but also the other ones are doing better when it comes to income equality. and which ones are doing worse than the average. What I want to understand is, what is this line? So, excuse me. United Kingdom, I guess it's the United Kingdom, has a level of income inequality above average, second only to the US. There has been no consistent trend toward improvement. Yeah, so it's gone up. Yeah, during the financial crisis, interesting. Then it kind of went down, but even the downward trend, it's not that high. I mean, we've got talking 0.374 down to 0.351. Like, that doesn't seem like a huge difference. Then it's been kind of pottering around there, and then it's gone up, and I'm sure it has shot up in the pandemic. I really like this. I like the approach, and I like that there's a bit more text explanation. I don't know if you need, the chart on the left, I think, could be a bit clearer still. But overall, I really like it. All right. Let's have a look at Brianna's. Parma Ham UK. I just saw the ad. Very interesting. Income inequality. So Brianna created a dashboard looking at the different G7 countries by sub-region. So we have US and Canada being North America. We've got Northern Europe being the UK, and then Western and Southern Europe. So Italy being the only one in Southern Europe. I know more about Gini now, so I'm not going to ask that question again, but I think it would still be valuable to include. And it looks like Canada probably just has the most amount of data about this. And Japan doesn't have sufficient data. It's a shame. A higher number indicates where income differences are less equal. I think that could be said in a simpler way. You could maybe just say where income differences are largest between rich and poor, or however you want to phrase it. So I can see that that everyone's kind of wobbling around, and I guess because of the scale. So in this case, you don't have to start at 0, because you're not having bar charts that start from 0. The lines, you could start at 0.2, so that you can get a bit more of a shape in those lines. Now, what I want to understand is, okay, so you can choose a region to explore further. Okay, so the region selection, maybe if you say choose a region, it is quite busy here in the middle with the title and the axis and the legend and the filter. Maybe moving the region filter over to the left, so it's immediately right next to the instructions of choose a filter, or sorry, choose a region. So let's say we pick Oceania. Okay, only 2 countries, and it looks like New Zealand kind of went up a bit and then down again. And I think the color legend isn't fixed. So when you look at that, so it's a bit squished now, but you want to make sure that the range is fixed, because otherwise, as we just saw, for New Zealand, we've got red when it's 0.34 and green when it's 0.32. But then you go to Europe, where we have more countries, and then suddenly the red is 0.4. Like, it shifts, the axis for the color legend shifts. So I would fix that so that the colors are consistent across. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, Alex will check. Let's have a look at his. Okay. Liz Truss policy decisions in the UK's should be unequal society. The UK is I think is the G7 country with the second highest inequality score. And here are the 25 countries with the highest income inequality. Any tax policy decision Liz Truss is taking should be considered taking. No, it should make it simpler. Is any policy decision Liz Truss makes should consider this fact. Keep it nice and simple. So South Africa is the worst in this list of countries, and the UK is quite high up there. I like that with the colors, I can see it quite easily. So yeah, so these are the top 25 countries. No, sorry. Hang on. In the list below. Okay. These are all the countries from the data set, but the UK is in a 25% of countries with the highest income inequality. Okay. Okay. I like it. I like the design. I think it's pretty clear. It doesn't mention the Gini index, which is okay. It doesn't need to unless it then explains it. Median, yeah. Not much else to say on this. So with that, I'm going to bring it to an end. Sorry, guys, a bit shorter this week because I do have family visiting, so I want to have dinner with them before my next call. I hope you all have a good week. We won't have this review next week because I'm traveling for work and I literally just can't make it work because we have events during the Wednesday and I just won't be able to do this. But I'll be back the week after and probably on the Thursday because I also have an event that Wednesday and I'm traveling. So just got to fit it in when we can. I hope you found this useful. I see that Brittany came in as well towards the end. So I hope you have a good day and I hope you found this useful. And yeah, any comments, just let me know. And with that, I'm going to end the stream.